No, don't do it!
Alright class, welcome back to FPL School by your boy, Bacon Boy. And this is episode 2, How to Play Fantasy Premier League. Now, I'm gonna assume you have at least 2 brain cells so you probably could work out how to play. But to make it a bit more interesting, I'm gonna give you a step-by-step guide on how to play FPL. Step 1, mindset. Get ready to massage that meaty brain of yours, as this is the most important thing before you start your Fantasy Premier League journey. Where I guarantee you, within just 1 week of playing, you will want to pack your bags, put your house up for sale, go on Google Maps to find the world's largest, darkest, quietest cave, move into said cave just so you can cry in it alone and forever, because FPL, it's quite something. But one thing to remember, it's just a game.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
You will have bad weeks, you will have great weeks, and you will also have some more bad weeks too. Experts can sometimes do absolutely terrible, and beginners can win the entire thing. There is no one specific way to play to do well, and you don't even have to try and do well if you really don't want to. Why not captain Joe Linton every week for the memes, if that's what you really want to do? But it is important to remember that FPL is fun. It's a game you're supposed to enjoy, so when the fun stops, stop. Not an ad for Sky Bet, by the way. Step 2, picking your squad. Now this is the main meat of FPL. Oh wait, sorry, there might be some vegans here too. Now this is the main meat or grass of the game, where you have your team, your very own 15-man squad, to bring you disappointment every week. I like it. Where you can actually have any player you want in the league in your team. Why not chuck in the world's best keeper, Kepper, that one guy from Harry Potter, John Joe Shelby, the Welsh Sonic himself, Daniel James, or maybe even have a bit of a Timo Pukki. Pukki party. You can have anyone, but warning, there are some rules when making your squad. Budget. You only have £100 million to spend, so make sure to spend it wisely. You buy a Mo Salah, a Bruno Fernandes, a Kevin De Bruyne, and a Harold Kane, and you might be able to spend the rest of your money booking a night under the local bridge. No chance of filling out the rest of your squad with that pocket change there. So it is important to make sure you have a very sexy, balanced squad, which we'll talk about more in another FPL school class. Squad size. You can only own 15 different players at a time. These include 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 forwards. So no, unfortunately, you can't build a team of 15 goalkeepers and pretend like they're all in the goals at once so no one can score. You have to stick to the rules. Players per team. And finally, you can only select 3 players from the same team in your FPL team. So sorry Man City fans, you can't select the 50 different defenders you have in your squad all at once. Come on. It's a maximum of 3 at any time. But let's actually turn into Bob the Builder, shall we, and build an example team. Even though we will probably go through how to make the best ever FPL team in the next class of FPL school, which you should definitely check out, yeah, wink, 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 yeah. Where in goals, you might go for 2 cheap fellas and choose who to play every week depending on the fixtures. Or you might decide to go for 1 expensive goalkeeper to keep him there all season and have a really cheap goalkeeper on the bench to save you some money. In defence, you might go for 1 expensive defender, but one that's very, very attacking and can get you all the points, with also some mid-price ones in there as well that could do very, very well, as well as the cheap ones who could be very great options for your bench or coming on when you need them to. In midfield, you might want to spend most of your money, splash the cash on 2 big boys who you think can do very well this season. Oh wait, maybe you want to add another expensive one in there, because you just can't decide who to get. Or maybe just downgrade that one so you can spread out the money elsewhere and get some nice balance back into the team. And then up top, you might want to have a balanced line of attack, ones that can provide some great value and score all of the goals. Or not, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want as long as you stick to the rules. So once you're happy with the squad and all the players you have, you can slap that enter squad button and you're ready to go. Step 3, team name. Aha, before confirming that fine new shiny squad of yours that you've got, you must select a team name. You can change this at a later date, so there's not that much pressure right now, and you can take your time to make sure you don't make an absolute fool out of yourself with a name that everyone you know will be chuckling for weeks about. Bradley's Exile, be here, think of something better. But if you have no donkey's clue of a team name, I've got some nice handy ones right here, which you might want to feel inspired by, or you could just steal. Those include Chicken Tikka, Mo Salah, Come Din With Me, Lalana's in Pajamas, No Cane, No Gain, Show Me the Mane, Dini in a Bottle, Peta Check Yourself, Obi-Wan Iwobi, Delph and Safety, Alison Wonderland, Gangsters Allardyce, Tar Very Much, Are you serious? What's the matter with you? And back of the netto. Basically, just be as punny as you can, be as funny as you can, and you're on the right track. Step 4, managing your squad. Congratulations, you have built your team of 15 players. But wait, what's that? You have 4 players on the bench, you got a massive C and V randomly there. Wait, how do you change formation? Wait, how do you make transfers? Ah! Don't panic lads, I got you. We're in the pick team page. You can set up your team with everything I just mentioned. Ooh. Formation is changed by simply subbing out a player for another until you have your desired formation, but you do also have to have a minimum of 3 defenders, 2 midfielders and 1 forward playing. So unfortunately, no, you can't park the bus with 10 defenders at once, Mourinho style. The C refers to your captain, who will have their points doubled for the game week and also can't be changed once the game week is started. With the V being vice captain, who will have their points doubled if and only if your captain does not play a single minute. So if your captain does play, your vice captain just does nothing. Boo, boring. The bench also has a big boy part to play here, where if one of your starting players doesn't play, one of your bench players will actually be automatically subbed in, with the first bench player being the first one to be subbed in if the formation allows it. So for example, your Man City midfielder doesn't play because Pep is Pep. That means your first sub will come into your team and you will gain their points, hey! But let's say you only start with 3 defenders and one of them doesn't play, and you have a midfielder first on your bench and a defender on second. The defender second on your bench will actually be the one subbed in instead, as you need to have at least 3 defenders playing. So usually the first on your bench will be the one to automatically be subbed in, so your bench order will be very important every game week, so definitely don't forget about that. But also a reminder, everyone left on your bench at the end of the game week won't score you any of their points. Whatever goals or assists they get, they'll be chucked in the bin, as only your starting 11 will score you FPL points. But you might be wondering, how do you score points? Well, that's a great question. Step 5, point scoring. FPL has gained its love from the simplicity of the game, where there's not actually a lot of ways to score points. Making tackles, passes, dribbles, winning penalties, free kicks, being man of the match and all of those sort of things don't score you points. Absolutely 0 for them, but most of them do help you with bonus points, so it's okay. Where the actual points are only scored from goals, assists, clean sheets, bonus, minutes played, and goalkeeper saves. And that's it. Yes, it's that simple. Now, the exact number of points for these things do actually depend on the player's position, with goalkeepers and defenders getting 6 points for a goal, 3 for an assist, and 4 for a clean sheet. Midfielders getting 5 for a goal, 3 for an assist, and 1 for a clean sheet. And then forwards getting 4 for a goal, 3 for an assist, and nothing for a clean sheet. Players also get 1 point for just playing in the game, like it can literally be for 3 seconds, they just need to get on the pitch. But also they get 2 points if they play at least 60 minutes as well. But a very important thing to note is, they won't receive clean sheet points if they don't play at least 60 minutes. So if a defender comes on in the last 5 minutes of the game, he's not getting you those points. Goalkeepers can also earn save points, netting 1 extra point for every 3 saves they make in a game, as well as 5 extra points for saving a penalty. Oh! But to sum it up nicely, all players get appearance points, all of them get at least 4 points for a goal, all of them get 3 for an assist, and then some of them get clean sheet points and save points depending on their position. No, your defender will not get save points if he makes a handball in the box, unlucky. But there are also bonus points in this game, with a whole bonus point scoring system FPL used to determine who gets them. With the player with the most bonus point score will get 3 bonus points, second most will get 2, and third most will just get 1. But if there are some players tied on the bonus point system, this can actually vary. For example, if 3 players are tied on the top of the bonus points, they will actually all receive the 3 bonus, but then no one will receive the 2 and the 1. And there are a bunch of different scenarios possible here, but I'm not going to confuse you and discombobulate with all of them. Some things can happen, alright? But this system rewards players for making things like big chances, key passes, pass accuracy, tackles and all of that, but actually mainly rewards goal scorers, assisters, and clean sheets. So what you normally see is a player that scores goals and assists, who are returning you points for scoring them anyway, also usually get on the bonus points as well. Where if a player gets 2 goals or assists, they will almost definitely be on the bonus points as well. But also, a defender getting a clean sheet and an assist are often high up on there too. So the players not getting any goals or assists are also very bad on bonus points as well, and just very bad players in FPL. So some of the best footballers in world football that are great defensive midfielders are terrible in FPL. Ongolo, Kate, no points, just 5s from these sorts of players. players. But players can actually lose points as well. Ooh, exciting, isn't it? No, not really. Don't want to lose points. With goalkeepers and defenders getting -1 point for every 2 goals they concede, players getting -2 points if they miss a penalty, an own goal being -2 points, yellow card -1 point, and a red card is -3. So basically, players mainly score points from just goals, assists, clean sheets, and bonus, and then there are some smaller points going around in there as well for other things. But you just need to mainly look for these main ones here. Step 6, transfers. Here in FPL, we don't like to mess about in the transfer business. Where if you really wanted to get in a player for your team when the game week hasn't even finished yet, you can. But please don't do that. Please wait. Please be patient. But what is the transfer policy here in FPL? Well, let me tell you. Before game week 1 and before the season starts, you can make unlimited transfers. Yes, that is right. If you really want to skive off work and stare at your FPL screen all day for the next month, you can really make 3 million transfers and really make sure your team is ready. But then as soon as game week 1 hits, your transfer life will change forever. Where every game week, you will gain just 1 free transfer. So out of the entire season, you will get 37 free transfers as you have unlimited transfers before the first week. But good news, you can actually not use your transfer for 1 week and then keep 2 free transfers for the next week. Whoa! And this is what we call rolling the transfer, which we will talk about more in another episode of FPL School on how to speak like the cool kids. You should definitely check that out. Wink, wink. So before game week 1, unlimited transfers. Game week 2 comes around, you decide you love your team, you don't want to make a transfer. Game week 3 comes around, you have 2 free transfers in your bank which you can make all at once. Great success! But what if you love your team again and you don't want to use that transfer, right? You will keep 3 for next week, right? Wrong! You can only keep a maximum of 2 free transfers at a time. So if you have 2 free transfers and you don't use one, it will get burnt, gone forever. Now, there's no shame in burning a transfer and not using it, but remember, your free transfers are a very vital part in FPL and you can get in the best players you might have missed out on. So it's very important to try and use it if you can, but also don't worry if you don't. But there's something else you need to know right here, where if you really, really wanted to, you can actually make more transfers. Way! We want more. We want more. Well, let's say you have 1 free transfers, but you want to transfer in 2 more players. You can, hey! But for a point set. Yes, that's right. Every transfer you make that's not free will cost you points, and it will cost you 4 extra points. This -4 points will be deducted from your total points when the next game week starts, and you can actually take as many hits as you really want to, and you can even go into the minus total points if you really, really want to. But that's not a very good way of beating your friends, is it? No. Some people would suggest to never take hits in your team and just be patient all the time. Meanwhile, others will say you need hits to make sure you keep pushing on forward and keep doing well. There is no right or wrong way, but remember to only take a hit if you really need to, as you don't want to be chucking away your precious points that you've already earned. Step 7, price changes. As you may all know, players have a starting price, right? Mo Salah is 12.5 million this year, and Joe Linton is 6 million this year. Fantastic price. But players' price can actually change, either rising or falling. And this will start to affect your team later on in the season. So let me explain how this all works. For game week 1, you own Mo Salah, who ends up scoring a hat-trick in the first game. Way! So all the crazy fellas who didn't own him in the first place start buying him for next week. So because a lot of people have bought this player, their price could rise if they've been transferred in enough. The exact amount of transfers required is still unknown, and also takes into account ownership of a player, where FPL do want to be extra cheeky and don't want to tell us the exact calculation going on to see if a player will rise in price. But it can happen and will happen if a player is transferred in a lot. Now, player prices can rise every physical day as soon as the season starts, so even halfway through a game week, but they can only rise a maximum of 0.3 million every game week as well, where every rise in a day will only be of plus 0.1 million at a time. Now, the reverse of this can also happen, where if a player is sold a bunch of times, they can also drop in price as well. So it's quite simple, right? A player is bought a lot, price goes goes up. Player sold a lot, price goes down. But that's not it there, lads. Well, let's say you have that Mo Salah at 12.5 million, and he rises to 12.6 million the next game week. You decide, nah, you know what, I'm going to transfer him out because I think someone else can do better this week. And you can keep that 0.1 million profit, right? Wrong. Where the selling price of Salah here will actually still only be 12.5 million. But why is that? That's because to make a profit out of a price change, a player has to rise by 0.2 million and then you will gain 0.1 million back. So if Salah rises from 12.5 million to 12.7 million and you sell him for someone else, you will actually get 12.6 million back and get that 0.1 million profit. Hey! So what does that actually mean? Does it mean as soon as a player rises by 0.2 million, you should definitely sell them and keep the profit? Does it mean that you shouldn't sell a player unless they've rose in price? Well, no, not really. All this means is you have an extra decision to make when making your transfers. If you want to sell a player 1 week, but you might buy him back very soon, you might not be able to afford it, as his selling price will be less than his buying price. But if you keep a player for most of the season and his value goes up a lot, but then he starts performing bad, you can transfer him out and keep all the profit you made, which will then increase your overall team value. So throughout the entire season, you might make a little profit here and there, increasing your overall team value, and instead of that 100 million you have at the start of the season, you might realize your team is now worth 105 million now. Effectively meaning you can have a more expensive squad than others. Wow, great advantage. But also remember, the opposite can happen, where your team value can go down if you choose the bad players, which would be very much of a, I like it. So team value and price changes aren't as important as you think they are, as you can still do very well without a good team value, and trying to maximize those profits can sometimes lead you down a path of no points and just disappointment. But it is also another thing to consider when making changes and when to bring in a player, when to take out a player, and an extra thing to keep your eye on, as you never know, you might be wanting to get a player and then next week you can't afford him because he's rose too much. But the best way to gain team value is basically just to have good players in your team. And eventually, if everybody keeps transferring in those good players, then you gain all the team value. Easy as that. Step 8, chips. In FPL, there are currently 4 different chips. You can think of these as different power-ups which will do different things to your team. We have the bench boost, triple captain, free hit, and wildcard. All of these can only be used once per season, apart from the wildcard where you get a second wildcard at the second half of the season. The bench boost allows all of your bench players' points to actually be counted, as normally whatever players are left on your bench, you don't get their points. The triple captain means your captain score for a game week is tripled rather than the regular doubled. Free hit allows you to have a brand new team with unlimited transfers that you get to keep for just 1 week, and then next week you go back to your previous team. And then wildcard allows you unlimited transfers again, much like the start of the season, but you actually get to keep that team moving forward. All of these chips are quite damn important in doing well in FPL, where there are a bunch of different strategies and ways to use them effectively all throughout the season, but that will be discussed in another class of FPL school. And also, it very much depends on the scenario of the season, you know, everything can change. Step 9, the final step, mini leagues. You now know exactly how to play FPL and also how to play it well already. FPL school has only just begun, but I can already see you're ready to annihilate all your friends in your own mini leagues and become the new fantasy champion. But how do you get into these mini leagues? To create or join a league, go to the leagues and cup section on the game, and you will need either the existing code for a league that's already created by someone else, or you will have to follow the create league and share that league code for everyone else so they can join that one. Starting this year, there is also an option to create a cup in a league, which will match you and your friends up together in a head-to-head battle, progressing if you win, all the way until the end, until there's just one winner, who will be the winner of the cup as well. There is also a main FPL Cup which everyone is involved in, which starts in the second half of the season, and you will be put up against a random person, and if you win, you progress all the way until the end where there's just one winner as well. So that is everything you need to know for now. There's a lot more chitty chat and chinwag to happen to make sure you are a proper expert at FPL, but all of those things will be left for another class in this FPL school. This has been episode 2 of FPL School, How to Play FPL. Make sure to turn up to the next class or you get in a bit of a spanking.
Don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now. Don't let your memes be dreams.